or be able or know the process to remit their sales tax. For a minute, let's think about those small business owners and large business owners who build brick-and-mortar stores in California, pay taxes, hire Californians, and contribute to the well-meaning being of the community. Their workers, in turn, shop in other local shops, pay their sales tax. The companies often sponsor sport teams and civic events. They are all suffering right now because of this unfair tax policy. A small and very well-known independent bookstore in my own community closed about 10 years ago, saying that Amazon was the reason, and just recently Borders Books closed its doors, citing the very same unlevel playing field and unfair competition. According to the Board of Equalization, the state loses over $1 billion a year in unreported use tax, and that is worth about 18,000 jobs. We need to pass this bill because it helps to create and maintain jobs in California for California workers. This bill will help us maintain and create jobs by creating a level playing field. The companies in the state of California need it, and the employees in the state of California need it. And that is why there is such a broad-based coalition of stores, large and small, united behind this piece of legislation. This is probably the most important piece of job creation and maintenance that the legislature can pass this year. Despite the success of AB 1X28, there are some issues regarding the small business exemption that have caused concern. And because the legislature appreciates the fragile economic situation in the country and in the state, and would like to do its best to ensure that small businesses are not overly burdened, the small business exemption has been increased to only include out-of-state retailers that have sales in California in excess of $1 million. Once again, AB 155 will reenact existing language while raising the small business exemption from $500,000 to $1 million. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion, members? Debate or discussion on 104. Do I see microphones? Senator Dutton. We've got quite a little crowd in front of. Gentlemen, if you could take your seats. Thank you. Senator Dutton.
Yeah, Madam President and members, I wish it was just that simple. I really do. Unfortunately, it's not. Every time we do any kind of a piece of legislation, there's always winners and losers. In this case here, what we're trying to do, well, let's go ahead and increase the tax on one business, and therefore we can give a tax break to another business. Frankly, it's time to get serious about what's wrong with California. What's really wrong with California is that we are considered to be the most business-unfriendly state in the entire nation. We're causing businesses to flee from this state on record numbers on a regular basis. The regulatory requirements, we talk about reg reform here and some of the other things. The problem is for every one reg we may kind of loosen up on or fix, we put 3 or 4 more in their place. You just got to stop doing this. What really needs to happen here is a broad form, comprehensive economic tax reform package, which we've been trying to push now for a couple of years, that would actually take a look at the whole tax policy of California so that we actually can develop a program, a policy that will encourage economic growth, encourage job protection in the private sector. This attempt here, this is just trading dollars, and you're also buying a lawsuit and a bunch of other things. And you know what's even worse? You know what it really looks like? Is an attack on the referendum process itself, which makes no sense whatsoever. You've already got this in the law. It was passed during the last budget process. There's no need for this bill. If all you're trying to do is collect tax from the out-of-state businesses, this really comes down to an attack on the referendum process. Now, if you're really serious, though, about helping the small businesses of this state, I would suggest you take a look at all the bill, job killers, and things we've been voting on here in this body, and I would suggest that you get serious about rejecting those and tell people that California will be open for business. You won't need to worry about things like this. It'll take care of itself. But I would urge a no vote. This is nothing more than an attack on the referendum process, and it doesn't go anywhere near trying to fix the actual problems of California.
Senator Blakesley.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, a very, I think, effective presentation on the merits of how we handle taxation for online businesses, but that is not, in fact, what this vote is about on this floor at this moment. That debate and that vote occurred 2 months ago, and the power of the people being embodied in recall, referendum, and initiative has resulted in a referendum on this measure, and there's an opportunity pending for the people to express their will. This is an attempt to thwart the voice of the people on this important matter. And if this were the only such instance, I probably would have left my mic down. But we've now seen a number of such attempts to interfere with the power of the people, whether it be in mandating what sorts of badges they wear when they collect signatures, whether it be whether or not they are paid for their ability to collect signatures, even the question of whether or not we'll allow initiatives in a primary in a June setting is now under threat. I would encourage this body to remember the source of the power that we wield. It is simply the power of the people. And if we attempt to appropriate that to ourselves in contravention to the Constitution, I think we are overstepping our responsibility. This is an example of that. I therefore ask for a no vote.
Further debate, members. Any further debate? And then, Senator Hancock, this is your opportunity to close.
Thank you very much. Just briefly on the objections that were raised that were not to the bill. Mind you, the bill does stand as the most important piece of job maintenance and creation that we can do in this legislature this year. It will allow our state budget to remain whole. It will allow us to stand beside our brick and mortar businesses that hire Californians, that pay their taxes, and that contribute to the local economy and the local community. There are many other things we will need to do to create jobs and to reform our tax system, and yes, to reform our system of initiatives and referenda. But right now, we have the possibility, each and every one of us, to show that we understand that jobs and the economy are our top priorities, and that we will take this action today to close one of the most egregious loopholes in California taxation and to create a level playing field and fairness for our local California businesses of all sizes, the people who hire Californians, give them jobs, and currently are put at an unfair disadvantage. I would ask for your aye vote.
The Secretary will call the roll.
Alquist, aye. Anderson, no. Berryhill, Blakesley, no. Calderon, aye. Canella, Corbett, aye. Correa, no. De Leon, aye. DeSaulnier, aye. Dutton, no. Emerson, Evans, aye. Fuller, Gaines, no. Hancock, aye. Herman, no. Hernandez, aye. Huff, no. Kehoe,
Aye.
aye. Lamalfa, no. Leno, aye. Tedlu, aye. Carol Liu, aye. Lowenthal, aye. Negrete McLeod, aye. Padilla, Pavley, aye. Price, aye. Rubio, Runner, no. Smidian, Steinberg, aye. Strickland, no. Vargas, aye. Walters, no. Wolk, Wright, Wyland, Yee. Yee, aye.
Call the absent members.
Berryhill, Canella, Emerson, Fuller, Padilla, Rubio, Smidian, aye. Wolk, aye. Wright, Wyland.
Senator
Wyland, no.
Senator Hancock moves a call. Members, I said we would take up the on-call items now. I think all but one member is on the floor. We'll go back to those items on call. Members, we're going back to the top of the file, today's top, which is file item 83. These have already been addressed. We're lifting the call. Members, we're lifting the call on file item 83. Call the absent members.
Blakesley, Calderon, aye. Corbett, aye. Correa, Emerson, Carolou, aye. Padilla, Rubio, aye. Smidian, aye. Steinberg, Steinberg, aye. Blakesley, no. Emerson, no.
Ayes 20.